A resource center like this, there's so many different aspects that can come together to contribute to this. A person's well-being is not just based on dietary means. It's not based on necessarily a job. All these things come together, but basically education is key here. I think that it could, definitely impact everybody, not only those that are in need, but those that want to give back to the community and see this as a way to bridge maybe people that are not in a good position in their life and just need a little help. So I think that all of us could come together, and not only those that are in need, but those that want to help. My husband and I, when we always talk about giving back, we always talk about how you don't want to we always refer to the Bible in that you don't just feed people fish, you teach them to fish. And I think a resource center like this would be good in that it's providing people that are maybe on hard times the opportunity to get resources, whether it be nutrition or counseling or something like that, to where they can be in a better state to go, a better condition to go, actually provide themselves with a better life. A resource center would be a good place to maybe set up possible a location for care, screening, and things like that in the future. Distributing toothbrushes, toothpaste, patient education. That would be a good location to get something like that started.
Most people might perceive that Choctaw and Tacoma Park Schools does not have a lot of poverty, but the fact is that we have 40% of our student body that qualifies for free and reduced lunch. And any child that comes to school hungry or has health issues because of poor eating habits affect the way they learn. And we have a lot of kids that struggle to have appropriate clothing to wear the proper attire to school. We have kids that don't have appropriate winter clothing. We have students that need very targeted counseling because of issues that they may have. So certainly that's what poverty looks like in our school district. Greatest needs other than hunger in eastern Oklahoma County, again, I would say help with very targeted counseling. We have unfortunately students that come from single parent families, students that live with grandparents, students that struggle with behavioral issues because of the home environment. So I would think one of the greatest needs other than hunger is just getting students the targeted help that they may need. To me, it would be a one-stop shop. Our counselors and school staff are always looking for additional resources. There's times where our toolkit is empty, and we've used every tool in our toolkit, and we're always looking for other resources to refer parents to, or grandparents or guardians, whoever might be raising this student in our school district. And to have a fully functional resource center to be able to refer folks to, or refer the resource center to these families would just be a huge help It's just getting these kids what they need, and sometimes the school just can't do that. It's strength in numbers. Anything in our community of Choctaw and Como Park that has the support of the schools, the church community, all the entities that deal with children, it just makes it that much stronger. Programs that help our kids, we're on board with 100%. Again, it just gives our students a better chance to succeed.
You know, unfortunately enough, we have students that come to school every day hungry, and it's unfortunate that when they go home in the afternoons that there's just not enough food there to go around. So we have to address the most essential needs, and that's hunger with our students. A lot of times these kids come in that have not had an adequate meal at night, come in, the first thing that they need is a good breakfast to get started, because it is a proven fact that if these students are hungry, they're not going to learn. Counseling services would be something that's a really large need, not just necessarily in Hera, but in the entire area of Jones, Luther, and Choctaw. I think if parents had the tools and the resources available through private organizations, church groups, Tri-City Youth Services, they're going to be better off to be able to receive the counseling services and the other additional services that are so necessary. You know, the most essential piece of this is community involvement. Not only community involvement from your schools, your churches, your businesses, your organizations out there, to see to it that we can deal with poverty and we can deal with children coming to school hungry or services that are not available that are so desperately needed, but it is a community effort throughout this entire area. Every little bit helps. I think that businesses and community organizations sometimes feel like that the services aren't, that it's too much. It's one more thing that they have to take on. But when you have to see these kids come in on a daily basis with not enough food to eat at night, it is a tremendous deficit for these kids, and it's going to take everything and then some. And as big or small contributions that can be made with this is going to be a benefit to our community.
I'm Terry Underwood from Eastern Oklahoma County Technology Center, and of course from the Technology Center standpoint, I think we see a number of poverty in particular relates to both secondary and adults in the various communities that we serve. We see a large number of young adults and single parents that are in need of training and desire to be self-subsistent and would like to take advantage of a number of services that the Resource Center can offer, from training to assistance to get that training, and also in needs to help their families. Some of the greatest needs that I think exist in Eastern Oklahoma County area, as I said, probably include the opportunity for people to become self-subsistent, and through training, through education, through a number of different types of support services that we feel like we can offer through banding together as a community. And I think that has been one of the biggest strengths of the area, is that we've always done that. And I think this is certainly a vehicle for the Resource Center to be able to do that and bring together a number of different organizations and a number of different services that currently exist, and allow them to be more cohesive in their efforts, more targeted in their efforts, and be a central location for those services to be delivered. I think over the years, as far as the Resource Center being able to come together, without a doubt, I think the biggest strength, as I mentioned earlier, in this area has always been our ability to bring together a number of people, a number of organizations with the willingness to help both elementary, middle school, secondary students and adults in the area, to provide them and help them gain and get in the direction that they choose to do so. So certainly this is just, I think, exemplifies maybe the opportunity for us to come together and centralize and join our resources together, where we can really make an impact and a difference in the Eastern Oklahoma County area and the various communities.
Certainly our aspect, or our piece, if you will, is to concentrate on the behavioral health issues, the anxiety, the depression, substance abuse circumstances, family difficulties, and those typically are the presenting problems, if you will, as they meet as our phone rings or as individuals come into our place. However, oftentimes, given the population that we work with, we understand that underneath that there are an array of issues. You know, how am I going to feed my kids? How am I going to have my meals together? A lot of the circumstances that we work on really are secondary, and that's not to say that they're not important. They're incredibly important circumstances, but a lot of them stem from basic fundamental needs not being met. In eastern Oklahoma County, and to expound upon that, the state of Oklahoma, we are disproportionately high with behavioral health needs, and I can certainly speak to that because that is my arena or my field, if you will, and depending upon which study you look at, you know, some studies will indicate that we're 48th in the nation in terms of individuals having behavioral health needs or circumstances. Other studies, when we look at things from a broader perspective, if you will, encompassing both behavioral health and the medical issue, if you look at the ACEs study, it indicates that we're number one in terms of individuals in our state having adverse childhood experiences. So hunger is a very important aspect because that creates or contributes to, if you will, an insurmountable number of stressors. And continues to domino on to manifest itself into the behavioral health issues that we see, and we see a substantive amount of behavioral health issues in Oklahoma and certainly in eastern Oklahoma County. I am excited, just in my few-minute conversation prior to this, one of the things that I think a resource center will do, which I'm thrilled about, is as entities, department, agencies, fields, it affords us an opportunity to more effectively collaborate with one another. We know that from a behavioral health perspective, people get healthy and stay healthier if they have sustainable supports, if I could say the word, if they have faith, increased faith and hope and connection, and if we look at things from a more holistic perspective. And by that I mean looking at a food pantry, looking at diet, looking at nutrition, looking at wellness from a physical perspective. Are we maximizing our efforts to help our community? I don't think so. I think being able to do things like this helps us to formalize and connect the dots and be able to help the entire family system.
Well, what I see in poverty at a level of a local banker is individuals who just barely have enough money to make it from one week to the next with their basic needs. They have just barely enough money to provide food for their children, and just from time to time they need help because things come up that they didn't anticipate. I see a resource center as being a focal point in the community where business leaders, where churches and other community leaders can funnel assets to help provide those needs. It gives the contributors a place to go that's local, where they know they can go with a variety of resources that they may have, and it also creates a focal point for those that need those services and that food and that clothing, to be able to know that they can go there and get those needs taken care of. The community working together, it takes business leaders who can provide contributions and other personnel resources to help those kinds of things. It just takes an effort on the part of all the business community, certainly church leaders as well, but they need to work together to meet the need that's there. And my experience has been in eastern Oklahoma County, we've had various disasters, whether it be wildfires or ice storms or tornadoes, and when that need's there, people can come together for it. This is an ongoing need, but I have seen people that can pool those resources and come together on a common cause.
I see the Eastern Oklahoma County Resource Center as a very positive thing for not only our community but surrounding communities alike. As the chamber, we deal with businesses. And so, but we get all sorts of phone calls in for needs in the community and wants, and when tragedy strikes in our area, those calls come into the chamber because they expect us to know who to contact. And having a centralized location that we work together as that community resource to offer the resources needed to people, whether it be food, long-term, whether it be getting them back on their feet and offering to help find jobs for them and put them back to work and give them that hand up, not a handout. The overall community, Choctaw itself, is always so willing to help people and reach out when needs arise. We've seen that over the last couple of years, whether it be from tornadoes or fires or any kind of tragedy that strikes. Choctaw wants to help, and the surrounding areas are the same way. They want to help, and this gives them a place to contact to be able to offer resources that they have that we may not know that they have. The Chamber looks forward to working with the Resource Center on a consistent basis to be able to offer resources to not only our community but the surrounding areas.